Welcome to the final installation, the final episode of my unfair run with the Rift Walkers. All of the corporate islands are finished. We're seeing my loadout. We've got pretty heavily upgraded mechs, save really the artillery mech. And we're on to the final mission, the volcanic hive. Deployment on the first part is, there's only so much you can really do because you don't know exactly where the grid pylons are going to spawn. In this instance, I can see that one is going to be parked like right next to my mechs. You can see that one little area of the deployment zone that I can't put anything. So that just means we're going to have a pylon there. So really, you just gotta have to try and position your mechs as best you can in preparation for a rowdy old time. We begin with a 6v3, 2-liter Vex. We got a Blobber, a Digger, Crab and Firefly, Alpha Hornet, Alpha Scarab. It's gonna be a party. But we've got Titanite Blade, we've got Spring-Loaded Legs, which is a really great upgrade from Titan Fist. It does as much damage as Titan Fist, but it gives you more options for directionality and gives you some mobility. You get to do a little jump before you attack. It's a great weapon for a Prime class mech. We've got the AP Cannon. We've got the Force Enhancer passive, which is just very strong on any squad with lots of forced movement, such as the Rift Walkers. So look, we've got just a big old mess. I think the one little bit of relief we have is that the Alpha Crab is not targeting the grid, which is a small kindness. So my initial desire is to use the Titanite Blade. It's just fun to use, you always want to use it. It's a big, scary, pretty blade. But it's not always necessarily your best bet at first blush. That's why I'm not committing just yet. Sometimes you have to resist that desire to just immediately use your big, fancy, limited-use weapons. Because it doesn't really solve anything. It just solves the Scarab leader, and it doesn't even finish off the Digger with forced damage. But we've got kind of bigger fish to fry. The Alpha Hornet is a huge problem. It would take out 4 grid health if we don't fix that problem. So we're in a sea of troubles here, but you gotta take your time and consider all of your angles. I see that if I can use the boosters or maybe the artillery mech to push the Firefly and the Blobber Bomb, I'll get 2-for-1 problem solve. And I go for a Hornet kill here. Don't quite commit to it yet, but it's a really good bet to do. And that leaves the artillery mech. I think the only problem I can't really address is the Digger at this juncture. Down goes the Hornet leader. The lava will destroy the Blobber Bomb. We'll get a little friendly fire. And if I push the Scarab leader, we'll also prevent a Vex spawn. So it'll be from a 6v3 to a 5v3 on the second turn. And I've got the nice insurance of 2 temporal resets with my fresh new pilot, Isaac. But I am just going to commit to this. Sometimes you gotta take a hit at the very first half of the final mission. But I'd like to try and limit it to no more than 2 grid damage. You're gonna need all the health you can for the very final half. If you can do the first half without any damage, you're sitting real pretty. So now we're looking at functionally 3 threats to the grid. The crab is doomed. I go to kill the alpha, or the scarab leader, and I can also stop a vex spawn with boosters. Go ahead and kill the digger, always a good decision. Don't have to worry about that headache anymore, and I can finish off the blobber bomb. So we're clean here on the second turn. And we're looking at a 3v3. The blobber wastes its shot since the lava will sink that bomb. And we've got otherwise 2 legitimate threats to the grid. Considering how to handle the beetle. If we can just push it 1 square west, it will run into the ocean. And so I do it with the artillery mech. Then I can do 1 last plug on our penultimate turn here. Go for that little diagonal attack. Don't have to worry about the blobber anymore. We'll only have 2 problems on our final turn here. Get a crab and the Scion Tyrant. No one's in danger of dying, so I really could ignore the Tyrant. It's not a big deal. But we get a nice little 2-for-1 with the AP cannon, thanks to the force multiplier. I'll put the proper name for it right now. For some reason, I can't think of it. Force enhancer? I don't remember. It increases bump damage, doubles it, and the damage from enemies blocking spawns. It's real strong. It's also one of the few ones that costs a power core to equip, but it's worth it. So the final half, you have no control over where you deploy. You just have to deal. This particular seed is kind of a nasty one. I consider this one to be pretty enemy-sided. It's not very good for the player. You're utterly surrounded by grid pylons, so there's no real safe angle. It's always real messy. And they start you with a 6v3. We get a small bit of mercy in that one of the scarabs attacks my mech. So we have 1, 2, 3... We have 4 threats to the grid and 1 threat to the Renfield bomb. And I have a very nice 3-for-1 solve with the artillery mech there. Almost guaranteed to be the best possible move I can make. I consider my options with the combat mech, but I think my best bet is to use the Titanite Blade to destroy the Blobber Leader bomb, and push the Blobber Leader into the instant death tile to help just clean up the board. That will leave the cannon mech the kind of odd one out as to what the best option is. So now we've got 2 threats to the grid cleared, and the Renfield bomb is in the clear. Unfortunately, Abe's going to take a little bit of damage, but he's got his armored trait. so he can tank it pretty decently. Hindsight being 2020, what I could have done was use the boosters to land the cannon mech on top of the enemy spawn. That way it would have been blocked and then destroyed by the turn 2 tentacles that always appear. Because there was nothing I could really do to stop the beetle leader. But I was willing to take 2 grid damage here at the first round. So instead of using a reset, I just keep the cannon mech on standby so that I don't waste its boosted status from opener. So not the worst first turn, not absolutely optimal, but we will be down to a 4v3. Get another alpha crab on the board. And our foes continue to attack the grid. All 4 of them do, in fact. Pretty nasty. But I've got a nice 2-for-1 solve with the cannon mech blocking a spawn. So I can kill that scarab. I can push the crab into the instant death tile, and we'll be in the clear on our second turn. And we'll be up down to a 3v3. We get a hornet and another crab. With only 1 threat to the grid. My big problem with this particular turn is that I'm not going to be able to do much to stop new spawns. And as you see, if I don't prevent spawns, I risk actually going to a 7v3. I spend 2 of my actions to kill the crab, which is kind of extravagant. And then I make a pretty... It's an okay play, but it will be costly, as you'll see. Because Serhina's going to be taking 3 damage, preventing a spawn. So our final turn will be a 4v3. 2 hornets, you hate to see it, the Scion Tyrant and the Firefly. And the big scary thing is that poor Serhina is only at 1 HP, and we've got the Scion Tyrant on the board. So if I can't solve the Tyrant, Serhina is doomed. But this is the last turn of the run. So victory is within my grasp. However, we've got some serious threats to the grid that have to be addressed. I take a look at my options, and I go for a grim sacrifice play. Poor Serhina. They were truly the best of us. but I will leave the grid completely safe. The Renfield bomb is fine. I only pay in blood. Rest in pepperoni. Poor Serhina. But that is a successful run. 4 islands on Unfair. As you can see, I didn't have anything particularly crazy for equipment. I mean, boosters were huge. Those paid huge, huge dividends throughout the entire run. AP cannon is very strong. Probably like an A tier weapon, I'd say. And Titanite blade is also really nice. Certainly not like super, super S tier. Didn't get anything crazy like Ice Gen or the Refractor Laser. Wind Turbine. But solid stuff. I hope that you watched this series and, you know, can parse some of my babbling into something useful. And I hope that I wish you luck on your future attempts at Into the Breach. Practice makes perfect. It's a tough game, but I'll have more videos coming and more tips and tricks for unfair difficulty.